Hello and welcome everyone. This video is on the Russian options at the start of my force versus finesse scenario of Memoir 44, a double breakthrough map. I've actually posted an entire playthrough series of 15 or 16 videos of me actually going through this scenario and explaining a bit how it worked, which cards I played, etc. So by all means do watch that. I've set up the scenario again to give it another go, although I won't be posting all the videos separately anymore, but I will be posting a few. And I've just posted a video on the German options that's set up on the right board. The Germans had the initiative, so obviously the Russian options will depend a bit on what the Germans have actually done. Of course, the Russians also have the Commissar chip in play, so a lot will depend as well on which card they have actually put there. Obviously, they might have a counterattack available, which is a card that can be played from a hand. So should they have that one, that is probably a good option because the Germans are very unlikely to start with a weak card, since they start with a hand of 6 on each board, and the Russians actually have 4 cards and are hampered by the Commissar rule. So the Germans are likely to start with a pretty strong card. As I said on the previous one, it's likely to be Recon in Force, I believe it's called, when you get to order 2 units in each section. Maybe they'll use Assault in the center, so all units in the center. So a counterattack card would probably be a great thing for the Russians to play, should they have that option. Other than that, it's quite likely that this unit may have been weakened or eliminated, but it's probably better to just give it up. The artillery unit, though, it's likely to still be around after the first German turn, unless they played a barrage card and targeted that one perhaps, but that is, well, I don't know. I mean, it's an option. It's certainly the strongest Russian unit here that is likely to stay around for a couple of turns and cause the most trouble and damage to the German forces. So that could be an option too. But something else they probably want to do. Well, they may consider blocking access to it by offering up perhaps this infantry unit, or by sacrificing that infantry unit, or the tank unit. Another option is the Russians would probably like to get, if the Germans haven't done it, if this tank unit, for instance, hasn't moved up into the woods area. By the way, all the jungles and desert type forests are simply regular forest terrain. I just didn't have enough forest terrain to for 2 breakthrough maps. There's actually quite a lot of forest here, as you can see. So I've used jungle as well, and I've used the desert terrain, and I've actually got 2 base games, 2 Pacific theater games, and I believe also 2 Mediterranean theater games. So I actually have quite a lot of set terrain. So you may have to substitute that a little bit, or be very creative with some kind of computer program that will allow you to do it, unless you have the same access to the same things I do, but maybe you have other games that will allow you to come up with forest terrain as well. Anyway, so this is a good defensive hex for a unit to be in, and again, you will sooner or later lose these Russian units, so you will have to move up units from the back to support them, and they may be gone by that time. But it's important to stay in possession of the town of Lutsk, which is well, the crossing point across the river. And again, in this new version of the scenario, the Germans have the option to place 2 pontoon bridges, 1 on each board maximum. So that will open up some more options to them. But this is and will remain an important hex, if only for the fact that it yields a victory medal too, and it's part of a sudden death condition. Because if the Germans control Lutsk, Brody, and Dubno, if they ever control them, all 3 of them at the same time at the start of their turn, that's a sudden death condition. So it's an important hex no matter what. Yeah, what else? These 2 units, well, they are unlikely to survive for a long time as well. Of course, it's an option that the Germans will use these two units not to attack the Russians here, but actually move over to the other board, which I'll discuss soon, because that is actually potentially the only part of the board where the Russians are not really at a disadvantage, and may cause big trouble for the Germans early on if the Germans don't do too well there on the first turn, which is actually what happened on my initial playthrough when this KV unit, which goes by Tiger rules in this scenario, actually wreaked havoc in the German rear because the Germans failed to destroy many of these units here on their first turn. So it's actually not even a bad idea for the Germans to move these two units over to the other board, which is perfectly okay. And that would mean that these two will probably be around a little bit longer. They are actually protected here because they're in woods, and well, the only other option would be to retreat them all the way to Luz, but that will take a while. Unless you have, I don't know, infantry assault, which will allow you to move 3, but that is probably not the type of card you'll want to use it for, especially if you only have 1 infantry unit and the Russian regular armor units only consist of 2 figures and can only move 2. So sooner or later they will probably be gone. So the best thing for the armor unit, if it's still around after turn 1, is probably just to attack. Depending again on which card the Russians have at their disposal, and if you can attack with it. So some of these should probably still be within range. Well, just attack it. Sooner or later, you'll be gone anyway, and just go for an attack there. Yeah, so I guess that more or less sums up the Russian options and the cards they would like to have. So as I said, counterattack is probably the best one they could hope for. So thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if you see any other options for the Russians here, or if there's anything else perhaps you think the Germans should do on the right side board. So thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.